And we see that the topic today is toxic feminism. Toxic feminism. That's a topic that is made of two words, toxic and feminism. And of course, you people know me. Anybody who doesn't know me can still know me. My name is Vijana, Paul Peter. And more about me on that particular website, otienopolpeter.com. So the question is, when we hear the word feminism, I don't know what comes to our minds. Anybody willing to say something about that? What is it that comes to our minds? Irene, when this topic came to you, what was in your mind?
I think the most thing I know about feminism is about the discussion you have on equality between men and women. That's one of the major things that I always surround feminism as, because you have people who want to fight for equal rights amongst men in the workforce, in the home, and so on. Yes.
Thank you very much. Chris, what would you say about feminism? What comes to your mind?
You can hear me, Paul?
Yes, now I can. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. These are very broad word. Defining it, it's very, I can say a little bit difficult. But I think for me, I can say in a simple term, a feminist is a woman who doesn't want to accept she's a woman. That is what maybe I can say. She doesn't want to accept her roles as a woman and a feminine way. She doesn't want to accept her feminine way, the way she's created as a woman. She thinks maybe of I can say maybe competing with a man, not like complementing a man. She thinks of competing with a man. And nowadays, I think they don't accept their feminine nature. They don't accept their womanhood. Maybe that is how I can define it in a simple term.
Thank you very much. So basically, there hasn't been really an agreed definition about this, and people will view it differently depending on their orientation. Coming from my background and orientation, I've never been into any extremes, so I look at things from my own lenses and from I want to believe an objective perspective. And this is what I call it. It's this idea that women should be treated with same dignity as men in all aspects of life, that women deserve recognition, dignity, respect as much as men do. And that is a noble idea. That's very good. And it's something that I think it's godly from the beginning, and every human being should be able to embrace the same. And going back down the ages, we realize that what prompted this was how history was, how olden days were. Originally, women were not allowed to participate in political process like voting. It was only for men. And by the way, not just for men, at some point in history, it was just for nobilities, for people who are considered to be of higher class. But then over time, now for everybody but men, where body means men in this case, and women were not really to be able to take part into that. And then this was agitated for, and that was part of what created the idea that we need to champion for women's rights. And that's something that is noble, because they also are members of our society and they have independent thinking, they have feelings, they can make opinion. And the other one is social. you realize that even today in certain communities, women are not allowed to stand before men and maybe talk to them. In some other cultures, we know that they should be kneeling down when shaking hands with men or putting their heads down. It's like they're bowing before them and something like that. And these are some of the things that have created controversy over the years, over the ages. Economic aspect, you realize that in some cases, if an old man was dying and allocating property, they would not consider their daughters, they would only consider their sons. In some aspects, even burial was chosen depending on gender, and even education and lots of other things. So these were the ideologies, this was the status, and this is what prompted the thought that really we need to have a society where everyone feels valued, everyone feels equal, and everyone's opinions count. You see, that women are not lesser human beings. They are just as any other human being, and they need to be given fair chance in every aspect of life. In the careers, there are careers that perhaps even to date are considered more masculine than feminine. We hardly thought of women as engineers. We hardly thought of them as perhaps even pilots or in the armies and things like that. But today we see women cruising the aeroplanes and in almost every area of life. So this was the history. And this is something that is public knowledge, everyone can find out. But then the ideology that we see today is something that's different. And that is now what's causing alarm. Because today we see it as more of a fight between the sexes, a fight of manhood and womanhood, who is superior, who can do without who, and something like that. We see something that is women being taught to hate men, the opposite gender, women being taught or incited against the masculinity. And we see a situation where they are taught to want to be men in some instances, so to speak. And I think this is what Chris was talking about. They assert themselves in positions that or roles that should be ideally men or masculine. And because all of us are gifted differently and created differently, and we have different capacities. And then women are taught to hate their nature and rhythm. Yes, where being a woman is sort of thinking, making you feel like you are a lower human being. And so you feel like if you are maybe dressed in a particular way, you carry yourself in a particular way, then you are more of a human being than if you are just you, somebody who is a mother, somebody who is able to conceive, all these things. We want to see them as things that are of a lower cadre of human being, a lesser human being, so to speak. And the question is whether this is really something that is helpful for us. Does this make life better for women? Does it make the society better? And the answer is absolute no. It cannot be. It cannot be. And this is hate, actually, in my own observation, in my own opinion. And this is what we would call toxicity, toxic feminism. You're creating rift in a society. You're creating chaos in a society where there is no order. Anything is according to my own feeling, my own opinion. And that is not a society that has order. The creation of the universe is orderly. We say the universe is not in chaos. That's why you'll see everything is moving in a particular pattern. If you look at birds or a feather, they will be together. During certain seasons, they fly towards a particular region. There are plants that grow in a particular season. There is order. Things are not in chaos. And that's the society that we should be living in, where there is order, there is harmony, there is peace, there is rhythm. And so we see that while it is poised as if women are getting empowered, they are actually under attack. And this is something that is subtle and needs to be recognized. It's worth being recognized. Because now we're talking about SRHR, sexual and reproductive health rights, which is poised to be like we are empowering them, while in another way, in a subtle way, we are harming them. We are injecting things into them. We are making them to be unnatural, not to sing to their rhythm, the monthly rhythm and things like that. It becomes a big trouble. It becomes a big problem. We see things like abortion, that if a woman is now empowered, now she should be able to kill her baby at any stage. She should be able to kill her baby at any stage, conceived today or 9 months later. Then that means they are in charge of their bodies. And that is something that sounds weird. And you wonder how this killing has any relationship with empowerment. And we are sold into contraception that for you to be a really human being, a real woman, a real feminist with power, you must be having some contraceptives in you. You must be making use of certain contraceptives. We all know that nothing foreign put into the body can make the body behave any better, you see, unless it is medicine that is meant to fight a particular pathogen in the body. But we know that pregnancy is not a disease. And now, out of this, we realize that family is under attack, because what is a family without a woman? What is a family if people are segregated, if a man is fighting a woman, if these people cannot work as a unit? Then family is under attack. And what does that translate to? The society is under attack. In the long run, we are not going to have any society. We're not going to have any children. We're not going to have any organization. And that means humanity is under attack. Because take, for example, everyone is taking care of himself or herself. There is no correlation. There is no family. Where is the end of humanity? You cannot imagine life with only one gender, with a man only, or with a woman only. No, no, no. There must be family. There must be people, two people coming together with a common goal to raise a family, to raise a society, to raise humanity. And this is what we are taught from the origin of humanity, that there were two, and that was male and female, he created them. Now, this is what we are taught today, and this is what women are taught. And this is what we need to know. We cannot wrestle nature and succeed. Yeah? If you start wrestling nature, and you are the one to lose by the end of the day. You cannot wrestle a hill. You cannot wrestle a wind. You cannot wrestle the sun. We can only do what is within our powers, but what is in the natural rhythm of the universe is beyond our control. And so we are living in a situation where pregnancy becomes a disease, and that is called feminism. Yeah, my body, my choice. Yeah, that cannot be. We are living in a situation where reproduction is a disability. If you're seeing having a baby, 2 babies, 3 babies, somebody starts asking, what is wrong with you? Something seems to be wrong. We are living in a society where marriage is subordination. You think of, if you're married, then you are lesser mortal. You are a lesser human being. Yeah? How do you contain yourself in such a cell? There is no freedom and sort of things. And this is now what brings in the toxicity. We are living in a society where babies are liabilities. Babies become liabilities. Yeah, you have one, you have a second one, somebody feels like, what is wrong? Yes, how will you take care of them? Not to know that even yourself, you cannot take care of yourself if you are left alone. We are all under the divine providence. You see, and this now is what makes the society be ripped apart. And it seems to me a stage-manned coup, a stage-manned system that is meant to rip the society apart so that certain agenda can be achieved. And by the way, it's not surprising that the same people who are promoting these ideologies are the same people who peddle the same the so-called reproductive health products. They're not really reproductive health issues, because items, because they are things like contraceptives, which are harming more women than we can imagine. So this is what they are told. Men are dogs. Men are not human beings. They are people who are unkind, who are ruthless, who are people supposed to be hated, supposed to be beaten, supposed to be kicked out of their families or out of the house, out of your life. You should be a standalone project. You do not need a man in your life. And this is a fallacy, because there is no generation, there is no reproduction that can happen out of one gender. There must be two. There must be male and female. He created them. Even when we are growing crops, we know that it's not just one. Even if we are rearing livestock, we know that you need to have a ewe and you need to have a ram. You see, so undeniable truths that we all have to review and admit are the following: that nature exists in binary. Nature exists in binary. We always have a male and a female in every aspect of life. Whether you take cows, you take dogs, you take whatever you take, you always find nature exists in binary. And there are no these other ones that people are talking about today. Yes, I've never heard of a bisexual dog. I'm yet to hear about a gay one and all sorts of things. But nature is not confused. Nature exists in binary. There is no other way of putting it. When we talk of pollination, you remember in biobiology and agriculture, cross-pollination and all sorts of things. We always see binary. Now, even if you go to mechanics, you hear of a female, a male. When you go to plumbing, everything, it is just like that. That is the way it is. Reproduction can only happen between a male and a female. There is no any other way, and it will never exist otherwise. Whether you want to go produce children in the test tube, you still need male and female chromosomes. So we cannot run away from these truths. And they do not, they are not political things. They are not legal things. It doesn't matter whether it's enacted in law or not, because these are natural laws, and natural laws are immutable. There is nothing we can do about them. We found them, we will leave them. We cannot change where the sun sets or where the sun rises. These are truths, universal truths. There is nothing, we can only study. Science is a discovery of nature. It's an inquiry into nature. Science doesn't create, science discovers, then makes use of the knowledge that is drawn from nature. Continuity is only possible through women. All of us are born of women, and every young one comes from a woman. Whether they are eggs are born from, laid from females, and then they're hatched. That's the way it works. There is no otherwise. There is no any other way of doing it, and you get to a functional system like what we have today. The other truth is men and women are biologically different. And this biological is not just about their sexes or their organs, whatever. It's a whole system, right from the mental attitude, the wiring of the mind, the personalities, the chemistry, everything. It's not about uprooting and planting organs here and there. That's nonsense. That cannot be. That doesn't change anything. The hormones are intertwined. It's a system. You cannot say that you bring a Mercedes Benz and you bring maybe a BMW, and then you pick an engine from here and plug it here, and pick this one and plug it here. Then you change the vehicle. It just doesn't work. And that is manual, which should be easier to do. How about the natural one? It just doesn't work like that. So we need to think beyond just what is presented by the other people, which is a lot of untruths being peddled around. It doesn't add up. Biology determines gender. It's not emotions. It's not that I feel like I am a man, and so I am a man. No. My biology will determine my gender. That's the way it is. I can be convinced, maybe depending on how I was brought up. In some families, a boy will be brought up by a single mother. And this has psychological impact in the body, in the upbringing and everything. And so you might realize that even the gains of such like a boy might tend towards feminine. That does not make him a woman. That's different, you see. So it's the biology that determines the other. It's not our feelings, it's not our emotions, it's not our wishes. Yeah. People are born as they are. If there is any mistake, nature can always handle that. Mother Nature is feminine. Mother Nature, we talk of Mother Nature. We talk of lots of, when we are talking of procreation, when we are talking of increase, we always want a mother figure. That's the way it works. And it just doesn't work on its own as a silo. And so we've got to retrace the root. We've got to retrace where did we come from? Because sometimes in order to understand where we are, we need to understand where we are coming from and where we are headed. And we start from Genesis, male and female, he created them. He did not create anything different. It said, if you read that phrase, he says, male and female, he created them. In the image of God, he created them. All of them are created in the image of God. None is created in the image of another animal. No, we are all in the image and likeness of the Almighty, the origin of all origins, the creator of all created things, seen and unseen. Now, at last, there is this song or this poem, this first song that was done by a human being, Adam, the first man. Now, at last, is born of my bones. And the scripture says that all this creation, all the animals and birds were presented to man to name. And he did all that perfectly well, but none was found fit for his companionship. And, you know, God would have created another man to present to him and say, now you have a team, now you are a team, you are two of you, you can work together, you can tell stories. He didn't find that suitable because the word is suitable or fit for him. And so he created a woman to be part of him so that they can, it's more or less like a jigsaw fit. They can become stronger, they can reproduce, they can grow and be fruitful and fill the earth and subdue it. That's the way it is. God could have created two women or two men. And by the way, God could have given Adam two women or more. You see, he was not lacking. All women in the biblical times who lacked fruits of the womb, we realize that they could have had everything. They had everything. Take, for example, Sarah or Sarai. Sarah, the wife of Abraham, was feeling down. They had wealth. Abraham was blessed in every way, but she still felt that hollowness in her heart, that something is amiss because she did not have a child. And she went into extra miles, feeling frustrated, getting her own slave girl to maybe get a baby for her. But still, that does not become her own baby from her womb. We see the mother of Samson, the same. We see the mother of Samuel, yeah, going into the temple to pray, and at some point, Eli, I think it was Eli, talking about why do you start drinking, whatever. He confused her to be somebody who is a drunkard. And all these we can see the mother of John the Baptist. Her lacking fruit of the womb was something that was unimaginable. It was a sort of a punishment in their understanding from God. It was something that was painful. Today, we're trying to revise that as if that is now the new celeb. It's the new thing. But it means there is lack of creation. Abraham did not have a child and was feeling lost despite all the wealth, had everything, but was feeling empty. And even told God, what is it that you're going to be now that to do to me, now that even a hair I will have to have a slave in my house to be my heir. You see, so having babies was not making people less human beings, but it was making them fulfilled, was making them feel like a family. And that is the way they were conquering territories. If some people were fewer, because they had less reproduction, fewer children and something like that, it would mean they would be conquered. And that is exactly what is happening, by the way. In my own view, if we don't check, in Africa more so, we will be conquered. Some other people will come and take our land, which is probably the biggest interest. In this case, sorry to say, salvation actually came through a woman. Mary, the mother of Jesus, was a single mother, more or less, and did not abort and did not use contraception, but took care of the Son of God. You see, she was taken by Joseph to be the foster father of Jesus. So women are important in every way, and nobody is making them less human beings. But by inserting other things and bringing in some other philosophies, we are trying to reduce them to objects. We are trying to rewire their philosophy, their own psychology, and by the end of the day, they become just tools of trade. And we want to make them feel that by having no children, by fighting men, by living alone, getting children maybe out of wedlock, going through tube or whatever, all those things make you more woman. It's wrong. It's wrong. So if God did not value women, God could have brought salvation through another means. And how many of us were not born by a woman? All of us, creation comes from women. And so they are valued in every respect, and we cannot deny that. And that's why they need to be protected if we are going to continue to grow. And that protection does not equal to killing men or insulting them or getting rid of them in the family. It just doesn't add up. And a family environment, take for example, if we are going to have a society, this philosophy is getting rid of the family unit, but a foundation of every society is a family unit. There is no way we are going to wake up and find ourselves in a society if we do not have stable families. And the best place for a child to grow is in a family unit where there is father, there is mother, and the child is there, or including other children. And by the way, in an extended family where we even have grandparents, that's fantastic because they feel secure, they grow with emotional maturity, emotional stability that ends up having a stable society. It is not single mother, it is not single father, it is not all this that is being peddled. I can stand alone and something like that. That well, as long as a woman has income and can afford living alone, and then everything is just fine. That's the wrong philosophy. It doesn't take us anywhere, and that's why today we have a lot of mental issues. We have people who are emotionally broken down, and they cannot trace it. They cannot trace it. It goes down to mother wounds, the father wounds, the societal breakdown. So we must ensure that our children are brought up in an environment that is a family unit, a family environment where they see love. They grow knowing the role of every family member. Jesus grew up in a family. Joseph was so important in this salvific process that he had to be told that, well, you cannot run away from this lady. This conception is actually divine. You must play the father role, the father figure, so that this child can grow in a family unit. And perhaps Mary in modern life would have said, I don't need you. I already have the Savior, yeah, in my womb. I will take care of him. The society will take care. I have relatives who may be able to help. I don't need this old man. It didn't work like that. God saw it fit to have Joseph be the foster father or the savior. Because it is important to have solid family foundation, which is what toxic feminism is ripping off. Love better depicted in the family. Love is better depicted, better demonstrated in a family unit. So there is no way a mother can be the sole source of love for a baby and then that baby grows emotionally stable. No, it just doesn't work. We must have both. We must have a father, we must have a mother. All of them have different roles. We need a society where we can also see grandfathers, we can also see older people, we can see people in the church, we can see people growing and playing different roles in the society. That is very important for an emotionally stable society. And this is something that everything that we want to champion for must take into consideration. The primary school, the basic schooling of every child is in the family. The mother, the father, and more so the mother. And that's why in Swahili they say, "Asiye funzwa na mama funzwa na ulimwengu." Because mothers will nurture children right from the time they are born, breastfeeding, all this way, and everything that they are learning through the mother until fathers come in at another stage. So without this family foundation, this family environment, then where are these children going to learn? And this is where problem lies. Because now we are told children now should belong to the state. Children now should belong to some other NGOs, so that they teach them other things. The parents don't need to have any role. The family doesn't have any role. And that is toxic. That is something that is going to break us. And where will they learn what is important? Yeah? And so we've got to understand the distinct roles. For example, women in our society are helpers from the origin. And this is why God said, we must give him a helper. Imagine between the helper and the help, who is more important? Yeah, you cannot be a helper without the helped, and you cannot be the helped without the helper. These must work together. There is no meaning of a helper if there is no somebody to be helped, and there is no meaning of and the converse is also true. You see, so women support, help in the creation, they help in the society, they help in the success of the society. And that's why it said, for every successful man, there is a woman. And by the way, the converse is true. I've observed this equally. Every successful lady you will meet outside, they have a stable family. They have a stable foundation in the family. Otherwise, the society might think they are successful, but they are never at peace with themselves. Educator. Women are good educators for their children right from the beginning. That is the beginning of education. And that's a role that they must take. And what is it that they are going to teach if they do not learn it in a family environment? If they are not brought up with values in the right culture, in the right environment. And the other day we were talking about culture in another forum, and I said, culture needs to have meaning and direction. We don't just invent culture or come up with something that doesn't have a meaning, that doesn't have a direction that is related to the values that we want to nourish, the values that we want to perpetuate. Nurturers, they are nurturers. They are the people who will incubate. You see the mother hen sitting on the eggs so that they can be hatched. Growth, feeding the baby from infancy. That's mother's role. Men cannot do that no matter how much they try. It's very difficult. It's a calling. It's something distinctly given by the Almighty Creator. They are the homemakers. We can have one person in a house, but two will always make a home. And that's male and female, He created them. That's the way it works. In our culture, in our tradition of the Luo culture, we believe that before a man gets married, he's considered foolish. until he is married and he establishes a family, then that is considered to be the remedy of foolishness. You see, so people must work together, people must come together to establish a family. And love, they radiate love. They radiate natural love, agape love, filial, erotic, all sorts of love, all these distinct sources of love, they are somewhat ignited better through women. And this is a role that they must take. Loving a society, loving does not bring killing. You cannot love your baby and kill. You see, what they are teaching in family planning and use of contraceptives is that you have 10 children. Which ones are you going to kill? So that you have 4 because you want to have 4 of them. You see, as opposed to learning the nature of rhythm and the nature of ways of spacing children and planning a family better. Something like that. So, throughout the Bible, we see women who are supporting in the ministry of the gospel. And like in the book of Luke, the evangelist Luke says, these women were helping to support them out of their own means. We've seen them. They were productive. If you look at the book of Proverbs, chapter 31, you see that type of women that people have or should have in a society. They are industrious. They can buy pieces of land. They invest. They sew wool clothes for their families so that they stay warm and all sorts of things. This cannot work otherwise. Yeah. In fact, many times you will hardly find a successful woman, just a single woman like that. They must come together, and there is an emotional stability that comes in together. And that's why it's written in the Genesis that the desire for man was not fulfilled until there was that giving of the woman, and the desire for woman would not be quenched until there is a man in the life. That's the way it works. So basically, a few things we need to ask ourselves in order to bring all these things into perspective is, what is the meaning of life? As a human being, as a father, as a mother, as a man, as a woman, what's the meaning of life? Why are we here? Who are we? Who am I? Who are you? Have you done the introspection? Who am I? Am I just a human being? Who am I? Am I just my name? Am I my job? Who am I? Who am I? And why am I here? Who made me and why? Where did we come from? So this is what we answer in catechism. The answer we get in catechism is, God made us to know him, love him, serve him. 3 things: to know him, to love him, to serve him. And finally, ultimately rejoice with him in heaven. So we are a creation of God, made in his image and likeness, to know him, love him, and serve him. Most times we get it wrong. We do not know how we serve God. We serve God by serving humanity. So what is our role here? What is our role for each other? What is our role in the universe? God created us to subdue the world, conquer and live together and all this. But what is it? What am I doing as an individual? What are you doing as an individual in this procreation, in this furthering of God's mission? And St. Augustine of Hippo said, you have made us for yourself, O Lord. And our hearts are restless until, our heart is restless until it finds rest in you, until it rests in you. All of us were created for God. We belong to God, and we were created by God. And we will look for all this excitement in contraceptive, in whatever, in living alone, to feel fulfilled. Nothing until we unite that purpose, until we unite whatever we are doing with God's or preordained purpose, with God's intention, then we will always remain empty. We will still keep fighting. We will find men fighting women, women fighting men, and all these ulabalus which don't add up. We must redefine our role, my role as a man, as a woman. What is it that I am supposed to do? Yes, am I following the divine guidance of the Holy Spirit? Am I following God's calling? And these are my final thoughts. Then we can go to questions. One is, in his image, he created them, male and female. All of them are equal, both, that is, both of them are equal, male and female, and for each other in order to mutually coexist and become a team. There is no better team than the team of two, man and woman. And that's why it said that two became one. They became one flesh. You see, so two of them must become one. That's the best team, because in a team we think of a unit, a single unit working together for a particular mission. And so we cannot think of a lesser human. We cannot start fighting men and feeling that we are now more important. No, we cannot fight women and think we are more important. If we are talking about equality, we are talking about championing for the rights, we must retrace. Where is the origin? Are we treating each other with dignity? They are able to vote. They are able to. Everyone is able to to air his or her own opinion without prejudice. Yes, when we are talking about economics, business, whatever, we give everyone a chance. But that does not replace their femininity, the feminine role. That does not replace the masculinity role. Man and woman forms the best team. Nature wants it like that, and that seems to be the way it was designed to be. We are not going to change this. And this is why we were saying you cannot fight nature and succeed. It doesn't work. Nature always wins. It might take time, but nature will win. And that's why even for people who've gone for changing their gender, man becoming woman, and even changing their names, by the end of the day, they're never at peace. And they wish, some of them want to retrace their roots back, because it's never that easy. It's not a feeling thing, it's biology. Man or woman cannot stand alone and win. Never. It doesn't work like that. And we are here for each other, to support each other, to grow with each other, to be of service, to serve each other. The meaning of life is service. Even trees, they are to serve us, to serve humanity, to serve others. That's why they provide shade. They don't need the shade. They provide fruits. They don't eat the fruits. You see, human beings are there to also be of service to one another. As a man, service to the woman. As a woman, service to the man. We are equally important and equally necessary. Sometimes when I discuss team building, and we are talking, I could use an image of a car, and I ask, which is the most important part? Some people say engine, others say maybe the wheels, others say, but the question is, can they work without each other? The engine cannot move itself until there is a wheel. So all these people forming family unit, the two of them, male and female, they must work together. Somebody used the image of two legs, the two legs of a human being. You need this side, you need this side in order to be able to walk. So I want to conclude by saying, let's resist toxicity in feminism. Let's not take it out of proportions. Let's know its boundaries. Let's inculcate the culture of human dignity to everyone, children, adults, men, women, doesn't matter. Culture of human dignity. Every human being has some dignity. And we've got to respect life from conception to natural death. Sanctity of life. We must respect that and uphold it. And by the way, this causes a lot of turmoil inside human beings after they've gone through all those other proposed quick fixes like abortion. People are always in turmoil, even within them. They're not at peace because they've gone against the current, against the grains, against the laws of nature. So let's respect sanctity of life and promote it. Let's retrace our origin and purpose, and that is God. We are here for God, to serve God. We are here by God, and we live for God. Yeah? And let's be proud of whom we are. If you're a woman, be proud of being a woman. If you're a man, be proud of being a man, and know that you cannot live alone. People must live together in order to create a wonderful society, a society that is hospitable, that is peaceful, that is coherent, and that will nurture stable families, stable children, and emotionally healthy society. Let's be of service to humanity. Let's be of service to each other. let's embrace our differences, our diversity, and be able to work together in a way that promotes life, in a way that promotes family, in a way that promotes a healthy society. Thank you for the time. And in God alone is my soul at rest. And the same is true for you. We will welcome questions at this particular juncture.
This is a very good eating interaction. Actually, you are listening it with my wife here. I'm helping with the cooking. Yeah, I'm helping. I was cooking ugali. So you are listening to it, and actually we have learned some good points. And to me, on my part, I think this story of feminism, I think mostly it's I think it's brought about by men who don't want to be real men and who have left their maybe their real duties to maybe to women. That's why maybe some women will feel maybe overburdened and everything. So I think as men in the society, we should be true men, owning up our mistakes and doing our duties as we are expected as men. Because myself, I'm a corporate, so I work in the corporates, and let me tell you, these feminists are the most miserable people I know, and they are very unhappy. You'll hear them saying, "Oh, co-parent, some nonsense. I don't know, staying alone, have one child, some stupid nonsense." But you look at their life; they are very miserable and very unhappy. Actually, I've never seen one who is happy. And I agree with you. We have to complement each other. And also another thing that I think it has brought this, I would say, mostly you find that our modern society, children, we have become part-time parents. That is one of the things that I think it has contributed to this. We have become part-time parents and full-time at our jobs. So you'll find most of the children, if your child is not in a good school, 8 hours he or she is spending in being bombarded with some nonsense. And you expect yourself, you come out of your work and you just spend the child with 1 hour, and you do that for the next 10 years, and you expect your child to be morally upright. You're not there for the child. And I think this is one of the things that we delegate our duties to some people we employ in the house. Parents nowadays, I think you have become very lazy. And, so one of the things our society is very lost. We are lost into making money and everything. So that's just my comment. And one thing I wanted to hear your thoughts, and what can now the modern families, what can they do to embrace nurture children the way they're supposed to be nurtured? So I wanted to hear your thoughts on that, because parenting is a big problem even in our societies. I meet with the teachers at school, and what they tell you, you'll wonder. You wonder whether this person is really concerned of his or her children. He's busy doing things outside there, things that will not even benefit the family at all. And when I usually hear these comments, I find parents, there's this comment when I'm interacting with parents, I usually hear, na watoto wa siku hizi sijui tutawapeleka wapi. And mostly when you hear a parent like that, just check what he or she is doing. So thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Chris. We love to say that life is 90% why and 10% how. If we find a reason to bring up our children morally, we will find how to do it. But if there is not enough reason, we will have enough excuses not to do it. And so the real question should be why. And the parents of today need to find a why. The moment we get that why, how will be easy. And so they need to, we need to start by setting objectives or setting a vision for our family. What vision do we want? What mission do we have as a family? What type of family do we want to bring? What values do we want to inculcate? And the moment we set those ones, then the how will come in. We will set up systems. We will set up structures. We will be able to work on how do we implement this particular strategy. We will be able to have prayer times together. We'll be able to find times to discuss the needs, the various needs and responsibilities and things like that. So the real question is, why should we take charge of bringing up our children as opposed to leaving that role for the government, for the schools, for other third-party people? And that is what I would say for now. Thank you.
Was a very tiny question about, you talked about females, single parent mothers who raise their children. Now, my question is, can, let's say a family, you had the father, but he died very young, and the mother is raising the daughters. Can they turn out to be feminists out of the situation they are in? Not really hawajajitakia, but out of the situation, can they become feminists?
Yes, that is very possible. And that's why we are talking about a family is the best place to raise children. And a family, and that's why we are talking of even extended families. You realize that in a proper setting, a society setting, you may not have a father, but you have a grandfather, or you have some other uncles, and you are living in a society where you know there is father, there is mother, there are children. If I don't have a dad, the dad died, but I have, you hear of Baba Mdogo, you hear of an uncle, you hear of this. But you see, where we are brought up is where we don't even know who an uncle is. You see? So we should be in a proper society. We'll have all that, and everyone will be able to play a role. So there should be deliberate effort to educate these people who are coming out of such family, to be able to see life with all the both the parents or all the society members fitting in, and that starts in the family. They can be brought up well depending on how the deliberate effort the mother puts, or the mother can contribute in making them feminists by belittling their dad, the person who said you abandoned us, whatever, all negative statements, and this contributes to feminism, toxic feminism.